Now, the Crown Prosecution Service says it doesn't recognise new figures suggesting anti-Semitic crimes have reached a record high.
But the campaign against anti-Semitism says hate offences are up by almost half over the past 2 years, and they're accusing police and prosecutors of betraying Jews by failing to crack down on these crimes. Well, let's talk to the chairman of the campaign against anti-Semitism, Gideon Falter. He's here. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
Talk us through these figures, because they sound astounding.
So what we've seen in the last 2 years is a more than 44% rise in anti-Semitic crime and a 35% drop in the number of those crimes being charged. And when it comes to prosecutions, it's even worse. There have only been 15 prosecutions last year, 12 the year before that. So what we're seeing is this massive rise in anti-Semitic crime. We're seeing the authorities failing to take action against it, and we have actually had to go to court ourselves to privately prosecute anti-Semites and also to take the Crown Prosecution Service to judicial review to force them to review their decisions not to prosecute people.
Now, the figures the CPS putting out saying anti-Semitic crimes recorded by police forces in the UK increased in 2016 by 14.9%, they say. Now, that's a big difference from your figures.
So they have, the CPS has been prosecuting much more hate crime generally, but obviously hate crime is a huge category. And the prosecution of anti-Semitism has gone from 12 cases in 2015 to 15 cases in 2016. So we're seeing still a very small number of cases being prosecuted.
Is there just not the evidence? Like, the CPS says we do not recognise your statistics. We will always prosecute crimes against people of all faiths where there is sufficient evidence, this is the key line, and it is in the public interest to do so. So is it an argument of saying, well, actually, your views of the public interest are not sufficient?
No, we actually took the CPS to the High Court and we won. Our view of what's in the public interest and what is hate crime is accurate. Their view is wrong. They fought us for 13 months and lost that case. The problem is that the CPS plays this game every single time. When the statistics come out each year, they say, we don't know what the actual number is, but it's not that number. If they know that the figure is wrong, hopefully they can tell us what the right figure is, but they can't, because it is 15 prosecutions that they conducted last year.
OK, look, well, clearly the argument over the figures is going to continue. There's been a rise, whichever figures you look at, which is disturbing. My question is, why? Why? As I said in the paper review earlier on, I can't get my head around it. What is happening?
Anti-Semitism's completely reinvented itself since the Holocaust. So what used to be the realm of the far right, we're now increasingly seeing anti-Semitism on the far left. We're seeing also an Islamist strain of anti-Semitism. And so we've got a reinvented form of anti-Semitism. And in the meantime, people who are anti-Semitic aren't seeing the law being enforced, so they know that they can get away with it. And that's what we want to change. We need the authorities to crack down on anti-Semitic crime.
When you did take the CPS to the High Court, what was the differences? What were you saying was classified as hate crimes, and what were they saying in terms of the interest of the public?
So this was in the case of somebody who'd gone out and been filmed making a speech in which he was calling on a group of far-right people who were assembled to go out and free England from Jewish control. He was accusing Jews of having done everything from causing the bubonic plague, I believe, through to World Wars I and II. And the CPS came back and they said, there's not enough evidence, this was freedom of speech. We took that to the High Court, we won on that point, their decision not to prosecute was quashed. And unfortunately, this is something we're seeing more and more, these cases where the CPS just gets it wrong, because I don't think they want to prosecute a lot of these cases.
What can leading Jewish groups like yours do to help combat this? You mentioned there are some strains of anti-Semitism coming from Muslim groups. Now, we know there's the conflict there has been ongoing for millennia. So what can you do? Is it important? Can you work on multi-faith, interfaith issues which may help calm some of these tensions which sort of exist almost naturally because they've been there for such a long time?
I think that's an important part of the picture, and the Jewish community has been out in front on interfaith work for decades, and we've got some fabulous friends in the Muslim community who work very closely with us. But the problem has been that the interfaith message only works if the people who are perpetrating these crimes also know that there are consequences. So what we've called for in this report is actually the exact same recommendations we had last year, and they're simple things, more training, better oversight, a review of forces by Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary, and ensuring that, that the CPS breaks down its figures so that they can't argue this every single year.
Okay. Gideon, appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. Your thoughts on that, be very welcome, of course, as always, on Twitter this morning.